How do you help those founders get off the ground?
Well, the first thing I say is like, let's take a breath. Let's just calm it down, right? And then I want to know what's your customer? Who is your customer? Where are they? Right? That's really your first question, I think,
Mhm.
is okay, well, if I'm a B2B, are my customers on TikTok or Pinterest? Probably not.
Maybe.
They might be on there because they're looking for like paint colors. I don't know. But they're not on there to look for business things. But they're probably on LinkedIn, right? And so why
Mhm.
don't we start there? Start where your customers live, where you know they are, and where you feel comfortable speaking. So not everyone is comfortable making reels or being on being that face, right?
The video,
But a lot
yeah,
of
that's a
people are
hurdle.
comfortable using ChatGPT to help them write text.
And we're back. Welcome back to Back on Track. Today we have Robyn with us, and we are going to unleash what it means to do all the marketing things and work with founders. And what I love about this conversation is that it's not my typical. Normally, I have a fractional marketing leader on, and we unpack where you need to start, how you need to get ready, and where you need to go. But Robyn brings so much more to the table in relation to coaching founders, and I look forward to unpacking that today. Robyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Apologies if I get a little unhinged today. I love marketing, but also I hate it. So it'll be fun.
I mean, I think we all have a love hate relationship
That's true.
with it. Well, I want to dive right in there. You just opened up a can of worms. Let's unpack it. I would love to know what you love about it and what gets on your nerves. What's the friction? Yeah, start with what
Yeah.
you love.
Well, I love that marketing, at any budget, you can do marketing. I love that. It makes it attainable for every brand, every company, every influencer, whatever you're trying to accomplish, like from grassroots all the way up to spending thousands and thousands of dollars on ads. So you can do whatever you want, really, within reason, I guess. But it also, really enables your sales. Marketing is a great way to drive growth in your business. The part that I don't like about marketing, or what really annoys me about marketing, is that everyone makes it so complicated. And so many marketing things out there, whether you're reading articles or watching videos or people, right? They're trying to get you to do everything all at once. And it
Oh
just
yeah, don't
creates
do that.
this mess, right? And it creates stress for business owners who are just trying to get their brand out there, get their voice out there, grow their business. And then you're creating this extra level of like, oh my God, I'm not on TikTok today. Is that going to really shrink my ability to grow? Or just these like little things. And I find it so frustrating.
So frustrating. I gotta say, as a business owner and marketer, I can so feel that love hate relationship of that founder feeling of I need to be everywhere, and then my marketing brain like quieting it down, being like, "You're gonna be okay. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You're gonna do these
Yeah.
three things, and it's gonna be amazing." I'd love to know from your standpoint because I think we all struggle with this as founders. I'm lucky enough to have that marketing like angel sitting on my shoulder telling me I'm going to be okay. All is right with the world. Not all founders have that. Most of them are more on the technical side. They're more on the product building side. They're more on the IT side. Some, if we're talking about B2B tech and SaaS, how, what do you say to those founders who are like, you said any budget can work. So they come to you with a small budget and say, I just need to do something, but I feel like I got to be everywhere. How do you help those founders get off the ground?
Well, the first thing I say is like, let's take a breath. Let's just calm it down, right? And then I want to know what's your customer? Who is your customer? Where are they? Right? That's really your first question, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is okay, well, if I'm a B2B, are my customers on TikTok or Pinterest? Probably not.
Maybe.
They might be on there because they're looking for like paint colors. I don't know. But they're not on there to look for business things. But they're probably on LinkedIn, right? And so why don't we start there? Just like start where your customers live, where you know they are, and where you feel comfortable speaking. So not everyone is comfortable making reels or being on Insta, being that face, right?
The video,
But a lot
yeah,
of
that's a
people are
hurdle.
comfortable using ChatGPT to help them write text, right? So something like a LinkedIn or even Facebook, where you don't necessarily have to be on video, you don't have to have impressive visuals. Stuff like that is really easy to start with. And you can make it sound so good with AI these days. And just is a great, I also like, I'm a LinkedIn fangirl. So, um,
Same.
but you can start on these like really obtainable and free. LinkedIn is
Mhm.
mostly free unless you want to upgrade your profile. Channels, and then go from there. Oh, well, actually, now I'm really comfortable. I've dipped my toes right into the LinkedIn, into the marketing. Maybe I could write a blog or a newsletter, or, like we can
It's so
start to like
crazy.
step it up instead of being like, well, now I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest,
Yeah.
X, I don't know, right? Like,
You're
and
going to
just
be
trying
everywhere.
to go crazy.
Yeah. No, I love that. I found it for myself. Like I yeah, I sort of go through momentum waves of like I can sit here and pump out 10 videos and then I can post them and sometimes I'm like all I can do is write today and I need my AI helper. You do talk about in doing my own sleuthing this and in our previous conversation as well this notion of post and pray. So how
Hmm.
do you help founders in that regard? Like you do need to show up on LinkedIn and you need to post, but how do you make it so that they're not it's intentional?
Yeah. So I actually have a pretty decent example. One of my newer clients, they had a marketing firm before me. And I could see that they were doing this, what I call post and pray. So we just make graphics, we write some cutesy captions, and we just like put it on all the platforms and hope for the best. And when I did an audit for them, yeah, just fingers crossed marketing. When I did an audit for them, I was like, well, the branding looks inconsistent, right? Like if I went and looked at this post and the next post and the next post, it just looks like different people got on Canva that day and just like put some stuff together. But also, you're not getting any actual engagement or likes, shares, comments. It's not leading to a booking or, um, to your website, or they're not tracking that, whatever that might be. But as far as I can see, like it's just, we're just posting because you're paying them money and they're like, this is what we're supposed to do. Um, and so being intentional in your marketing is one, really starting with who's your customer. You have to understand that. But then I always feel like in the beginning, less is more, right? In marketing. Even if you had a digital marketing company that was doing a lot, it's okay to scale it back and say, you know what, Instagram really, like, I love Instagram, but it's just because I like to scroll some BS videos. Um, but maybe that's not where I should spend my time as a business because my customer isn't there, even though someone is telling me I should be on there. And it could also be because what I do isn't visually beautiful, right? Like maybe I manufacture widgets, right? And that's just not a thing that goes on Instagram. It's not flashy cars or super yachts or beautiful scenery. Like it just maybe isn't the right vibe. And so it's okay to do less as long as you have the right tracking in place to know that it's working. And what I would say is like a post, if we look at LinkedIn, 2 or 3 posts a week is probably fine, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
beginning.
Yep.
And where I think people don't gain momentum on social media for the most part is they're not doing the other part, which is the social part of social media, of like
That's your point.
engaging with other posts. Either as your brand or as you. LinkedIn is very focused on the business owner or the person as the creator versus the
Mm-hmm.
brand, even though they give you the opportunity to make a company page. Um, But if you're not in there communicating with other people and not just liking, right? Like actually scrolling through, leaving a sentence, things
Commenting.
like that,
Yeah.
commenting,
And not
you're
just for
losing,
reach.
correct. You're losing opportunity.
Yeah. It's really hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm with you, founders. If you're listening, like, I know you're
It's hard.
probably, yeah, I'm sure there's like some cringe happening in your body right now, like my daughter who watches old 90s sitcoms and wonders how we stood it. But it's an important hurdle to figure out how to navigate for sure. For sure. LinkedIn, I mean, I've hardly been posting and I've hardly been engaged, and man, do my numbers show. What numbers do you look at, Robyn, to hope? I do think that helps. Like my itty shitty bitty committee is like hanging out with me right now because I can see the numbers and I can see how bad it is. So I know that I need to get back on track. Um, so what numbers do you use to help founders start to see the momentum and to feel proud of what they're doing to keep them going?
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about vanity metrics, right? So eyeballs on your posts, engagements, views, whatever. Um, if you don't already have that stuff coming to your profile, your posts, like people seeing your posts, and then suddenly you're getting more people seeing more eyeballs on your stuff, I think to me that is one of the like that's a little bit of a win, right? Like I
Yeah,
went
leading
from no one
indicator.
seeing my or like two people seeing my post to like 100 people seeing, then to whatever that might be. Um, and then from there, I think you just like is are your posts optimized then to book a call or go to your profile, and is your profile optimized to get to your website, right? So we can start to track that traffic or like the directionality, because that's how you know that people are like, oh, that was an interesting post. I looked at it. Oh, she's really talking about something I'm interested in. Let me check out her profile, right? Especially on LinkedIn, you can see all that. You can see that I'm not trying to turn this into a whole show on LinkedIn, but you can see like your, this drove X many engagements and two profile views or something like that. Then you can see like if you've got a link in your bio, it'll show you if people have clicked that link. And if it goes to somewhere in your website and they have to fill out a form, we could see that too, right?
Yeah,
Theoretically.
yeah.
Um, and so it's just like tracking all the traffic essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, leading I let's debunk this now because I know you normally get an opportunity to sort of stand on my high horse for a hot second and sort of and correct the myth, I guess. But I do think vanity metrics have gotten a bad rap mostly because they have been misdefined. Where like I had an analyst who stood up in front of a room at a presentation and defined what vanity metrics mean. And I absolutely just loved this and why, and I would love your take on it too, Robyn. She compared it to a watermelon. And she's like, vanity metrics are the lovely green part of the watermelon where everything looks gravy, right? But actually, when you cut open the watermelon and you see all of that red, things are not so gravy. And so I think people now have convoluted vanity metrics of everything looking green to the top level metrics versus the bottom metrics when actually it's just not showing the whole story of what's actually working versus not working. And so leading indicators are not vanity metrics.
I'd agree. I think the caveat there is like I like the old like standard marketing funnel,
Funnel.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Marketing to sales funnel, right? And your vanity metrics, your engagement, your impressions, your things like that. But it really is just your like people are paying attention, right? It's your upper funnel. Um, but at the end of the day, they become vanity if they're not ultimately driving to sales, right? So if they're just numbers to show numbers, but it doesn't actually convert, even if it's like 1,000 views to get one, not a great one, but 1,000 views
Yeah.
to get 10 leads to your website, right? Then we know, okay, well, either we need to work on how do we make it more engaging at the top so that they
Conversions.
want to
Mm-hmm.
convert, right? or we just have a general understanding that it takes me 1,000 views to get 10 actual leads, right? Um, but you have to have you have to look at that. You can't just, I think what a lot of marketing agencies tend to do is show their clients, like, look at this amazing impressions you got. Like, this, you got 10,000 impressions on this.
Hmm.
But I had a prospect, I was talking to a business owner the other day, and from the outside, if I hadn't dug into kind of their point of sale system and
Oh,
things like
really?
that, I was like, yeah, it's a watermelon, right? Beautiful. I'm like, wow, I couldn't even help you. Like, I can't even guarantee you that I get you 100,000 views on your post. Like, I just can't. I'm not going to ever do that. But when I got to their website data and their actual res point of sale stuff, it was like a 0.3% conversion. I was like,
Ouch.
you're paying for them to just like, oh, that's nice. I'll go to the guy down the street because his website converts better, or whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
But the marketing company is just looking at it like, well, look, we did our job, which is, I will say, probably not their fault, because most business owners, when they work with digital marketing agencies, keep them out here,
Yep.
right? You're not having conversations like, these are my goals. This is how sales works. This is how my business actually functions. They're just like, all you do is make Canva social media posts, and that's your job. And you stay in your little box, and I'll run my business. And
Yep.
then we get annoyed because it doesn't work, right? But your marketing agency is annoyed too, because I think generally most marketing people want this to work, because we do love and hate marketing. We really do want this to work for you, but it only works if you're willing to let us in.
Mhm. Yeah, that's exactly why I created a new service line called Marketing Leader and Activation, and why I love talking to marketing leaders like yourself, because they have to work together. And as agencies, I was trying to find a way to create that bridge for that exact reason, because we have to be brought in and we have to be told what the bigger picture is, what the vision is, what the ultimate goals are, what other usually as an agency you're doing one specific thing too, right? You'll have multiple agencies sort of each doing their own thing, and you need somebody to be bringing those together to say how all these channels are working as a compounding system. So yes, I totally agree that agencies are constantly set up to fail. It's why we don't work directly with founders. We go, we would love to work with you. And here is our bunch of marketing leaders. Let's set you up. Let's get you in touch. Let's figure that out. For that reason, I totally love that and agree that, yeah, founders, we love you and you're great at what you do. And it's okay. It's okay that marketing is not your strong suit. I'm a founder and I'm a marketer, and I got to tell you, I'm bringing in outside help to help me with my own marketing. It's just what you have to do. It's hard to market your own stuff. You need outside help.
Yes.
It's all good.
Yes, I
You're not a
agree.
failure. I promise. I promise. Although I tell you, I sometimes feel that way. Um, when you've talked about you said that you can do. Nope, we just talked about that. I'm going out of order here, folks. I'm trying to figure out where I am, make sure we're not duplicating efforts.
Mhm.
Let's talk about going more. We've talked very much about the small founder led stuff. That's not just what you do. That's not just where you sit. And so let's talk about the scale up folks, who are like, oh, I got a thing. I got some budget. I want to like, it is go time. They have a sales team that's like sitting around waiting for those leads to come in. How do you help bring marketing and sales together? This is an age old problem where I can't believe I'm still talking about this. I've been doing this podcast since 2019, and I can't not still ask this question because it is still a problem.
Mhm.
So how do you solve it?
Well, you put the marketing people and the salespeople in one room, and you just tell them to fist fight. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Fight
The
Club.
salespeople will win because they are ruthless. Sorry, it's true.
True.
I'm married to one. Um, I always tell people that I tell people that I'm not a marketer, because what I find is that, and I have a great team. I love my team. I love them, but they're so sweet. they're so nice. Like they're just like, whatever you need, salesperson, I'll make you this brochure. Like they're not going to be like, absolutely not. You don't need just another random PDF. Like, um, so what I tell people is I'm a CMO. Like I'm not here to be nice. Like I am nice mostly, but I'm here to make this work. And I will toe to toe with your salespeople. And that's what marketing needs. Marketing needs someone to come in and say, don't bully my people, right? Like I will speak to you directly and then I will dispel the messaging downward. Um, but we have to work together. Sales and marketing traditionally are like in these silos separately. Salespeople think marketing people are useless. Marketing people think salespeople are scary and they never listen. It might be true. But what you need as a business owner is to say, like, I'm done with you playing your dumb games, right? Like, we work together. This is a revenue generation department. That is our job, is to generate revenue at the end of the day. We do it differently. We approach it from kind of like different locations. Also, side note, if your sales team is just sitting around waiting for leads to come in, they're not salespeople and they need to go do their jobs. That might get some
That's a
hatred.
different soapbox.
That's a different soapbox to be on. However, um, it really takes someone coming in and saying, talk to me about your sales process. Like, what are you seeing? Where I had this conversation with the head of sales for one of my clients the other day. I said, what do you need? So when you're out talking to these meeting planners or whatever, right? Like, what do you need from the marketing department in order to like really bring it home, right? And her response was, I never send them to our website because it's terrible. And I said, well, that is a marketing problem. Um, it was really like a business owner problem who didn't want to put the money into a new website. But I said, okay, that's my job then, is to go like rally for you essentially to say, this is our priority. We've got to move budget so that we can like your website is your brochure essentially, right? So if
Hmm.
your sales team can't send people to learn about you because they're worried like it looks bad and it makes them look bad, that is a problem. But you wouldn't know that if you're keeping marketing and sales separated, because I would have never had that like a regular agency would have never had that conversation. They would have just said, well, you know, you're getting a lot of engagement on your post or
Yeah.
traffic to your website, but they would have never known that I'm not even sending them there because
Yeah.
like,
That's
or
a
I
problem.
had a client like their salesperson was making his own marketing materials because he didn't like the marketing materials that the other market, like the first agency had made. And I was like, bro, you can't just make your own things. Like that's just not how this works. But that's the problem, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
we
You
can
got to create
solve
that
that for you.
confidence.
But you have to instill confidence in the sales team that like we're here to actually work with you, not just like cower in the corner and hope for the best.
I actually just got off the phone with my, as a marketing leader myself, I have a few clients, and um, I called up the sales guy because he's like, I'm getting the wrong, not the wrong, but I'm getting a really hard uh, ICP right now. Like these folks are really hard to sell to. I don't know what's going on or like why they're showing up. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to help them self opt out. Let's hop on a call. And like as we started working to like through how his, I was like, I'm a sell to me. Like, let's just go through it. And I said, okay, I need to do a better job on the website of helping people self opt out by using language around premium because they're shoppers. They're just comparing the different services of what they're going to get from one company to another. And I was like, you're premium. And we need to just say that. Like you're going to pay the premium price and here's why it matters and here's the value. And then hopefully you get less of those people and more of the right people. Or if you get those people, they know what they're walking into. So totally agree that having those simple conversations took us 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I was like, I know exactly what I need to do. Don't you worry. I'm on it, Chris. So I love that. I think there isn't enough, across the aisle sort of stuff happening. And I'm the same way of like, I'm here for you. So how do I make your job easier? Because at the end of the day, you're sitting in the seat and you're doing the selling. So what's in your way? Yes to that 100%. Um, you said you speak sales. What is, you just said it. One, oh, well, I guess here's a bit. What is one question a marketing lead should ask the top salesperson every Friday afternoon?
That's a good question. Well, what I would say is, what leads did you close this week? Now, I will warn you that some salespeople, until they're used to you asking those questions, might be like, why are you checking up on me? Like, I do my
Mm-hmm.
job, right? Like, they might
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
upset with you. But it really is like, what leads did you close? Tell me about them. I don't care. I mean, I care because I have an interest in this company growing, but I don't care that you only closed two or one, but I want to know about that customer, right? What was the process? Where do you think that maybe some additional touch points prior to your close would have been helpful? Um, and I also want to know, like, what didn't you close this week and why? Not in an accusatory tone, not because I'm here to like check on you and make sure that you're actually valuable to the company, but because I want to know
Mm-hmm.
where we're missing things, right? In the sales process, in the and it could be that, like, hey, if we had one more email going out to them, like, even if it was just like, hey, I'm so excited to talk to you tomorrow, right? We can do that. If we're missing like this one step, okay, well, people didn't show up, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it
Okay.
might be. And then I think, the other part is like, what are your goals for next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the rest of this month? You close two. Is your goal to close two every week? Is it just like, no, my goal is one and I just happen to get an extra, right? So we can stay aligned in the direction that we're going. Because if your goal is to close five new sales and you're not closing any, or you're only closing one, and it's not a sales issue. This is my husband. Don't mind me. He's on the phone. Um, then it's a marketing issue. And so
Yes.
we need to just come together and have the kind of these conversations.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I just got off this call and that's exactly what I was trying to figure out. I'm not here to say you're not doing your job, you're not closing these and why not. My job was to figure out why aren't they closing and what's in your way and how can I support you. So yeah, I think just building that rapport up front can, and saying that up front, here's what I'm here to do. This is why I'm asking these questions is just the best way to disarm people and get to the root issue. So we're here
I will
for people.
also tell you that, like, as a CMO, my job isn't to report to other people except the owner or the CEO or whoever is the purse holder, right? The decision
Of
maker.
course, it's important.
And I need access. I always tell my clients, you can't send me too much stuff. You can't give me access to too many things, right? Like, we have an NDA. I'm not going to go like tell people or show people your stuff. But like, I want to see your QuickBooks. I want to track these metrics. I need access to these things because ultimately my job is to talk to the owner and say, here's what's working in revenue, driving revenue. Here's what's not working. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. And like, maybe we're bringing in like just a ton of leads and operations can't fulfill it, right? They've got a customer fulfillment, sales closes, and then the next, like, we're actually losing them at the beginning of fulfillment because operations is behind, right? And so the more, as a head of sales, as a head of marketing, like, our job is to keep the customer forever or however long they stay with us, not just close a lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like that's what makes marketing and sales, but marketing valuable to business owners the most, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is retaining customers.
Yes.
Because getting new customers is expensive. Keeping an
Yes.
existing customer is free almost, right? So like you got
Yeah.
to be kind of looking at both sides of the
So
revenue.
important. Absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons too as to why I was like, we need we need to not like we need a marketing leader in that seat to be working directly with the founder because they need access to that data. They should not be do not give your agency access to your QuickBooks. That's a terrible idea.
Correct.
But if you have a marketing leader that you have an agreement with that you can give that information to, like I know that we close 20% of revenue comes from past clients, right? And I know that because all of the financial stuff is in the CRM. It's all tied together as one system. And it's so powerful to be able to tie all that together to really know, to your point, is the free leads just sitting there, the
Yep.
newsletter and the automations are doing their job every Monday. When that newsletter drops, I know we're going to get 3 leads from it. It's going to
Yep.
be previous clients, right? We got to
We
know
had
that.
a I had a client, I have a client, but I have a lot of clients in the limo, chauffeur transportation, hospitality space. And um, one of my clients does wedding shows. So he takes his big vehicles to the wedding show, the bridal show, and whatever. And I think a lot of people will be like, well, how many weddings did you book? Well, yes, that's important. Absolutely. Like your purpose here is to get brides, right? Or their parents, whatever, to
Mm-hmm.
book wedding transportation. But what we found is that people who see them at the show are then booking nights out, concerts. So we were able to track that customer, that lead. So maybe
Yeah.
they didn't book their wedding yet, right? And they're just there getting ideas. But in the meantime, you've established this trust factor with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're like, Post Malone is coming into town. I'm going to book a ride so we don't have to deal with parking, right? Or whatever. Like, or let's do our bachelorette, which is pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But things like that, right? It's an upsell without an upsell. But
Yes.
you're now making a customer. So when they go to make that big purchase decision of wedding transportation, they are already going to come to you. But you spent money on, but if you were just looking at how many weddings did I book from this wedding show,
Yeah.
that doesn't give you a clear picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Having that access to that deeper data to know exactly what's being booked, so helpful. I'm going to fall on the sword here a little bit. I work with an estate planner and I was getting them a ton of power of attorney stuff because I thought that they could easily upsell it. Uh, that is not true. And I found that out the hard way. I did a about face and was like, yep, we need to lean into the trusts and the
Mm.
asset protection. And it's because I could easily see how all of that broke down. So I think that's just such an important thing of like why this financial data matters. It's more than just what your top line revenue was. It was like, how does that break down into those services and the services that do give you that most revenue? And to your point, like to be able to see how I thought the POAs were going to lead to the APTs, and that is a false flag. And I got to learn that, right? You had the opposite problem where those smaller gigs led to the bigger gigs, right? It's finding those opportunities, and that is the hidden gems in that data. I love
I mean, I
it.
can fall on my sword too. We, at Strategy Leaders, we do valuations and as one of our service offerings. And we believed that like that was the probably like your power of attorney situation, right? That was the door opener to
Yeah.
consulting. But what we found out is that most small business owners don't know that they should get a valuation or that they even can afford one. So we already had to like we had to already start with from education instead of like a need. But we spent a lot of time marketing for valuations. And what really, like when we looked at the sales numbers, people would get valuations and then nothing else. And
Right.
they wouldn't do consulting. They wouldn't do, we couldn't upsell them because we were only selling them this product. And so we had to come back around and say, like, but we wouldn't have known that if we hadn't actually dug into the data.
Yes. Yes. What data you're looking at? I mean, there's so much data out there, right? You could spend your whole day just looking at data every day.
Don't do that. It'll make
So
you cry.
it will make you cry. Um, but the point is there's the right data to be looking
Yes.
at. So I love some of these examples that you're providing. It's just amazing. Um, I let's shift gears for a second, uh, because we could clearly talk about the marketing side of things all day long, but business owners and what you provide is so much more than that. And so, my next question, Robyn, is for businesses looking to exit in 5 years, what is the first thing you change about their marketing process or lead capture process?
Yeah. So what I would say is if you are looking to exit, thinking about exiting, side note that when you start a business, you should be thinking about your exit so that you can exit on your own terms. That's just my little pedestal to sit on. But you want to think like a buyer. So when you look at your marketing and your sales function, right, does it operate without you? Can it operate by itself? And can I show an outside person that these activities lead to this that leads to revenue, right? And so you want to you need to make your company look and be as valuable as possible. And that really is creating this growth engine, this scalable growth engine. Because at the end of the day, if I'm trying to buy your business or a business, and I've already owned particularly business owners who already own businesses and are going to buy another business, which is usually the buyer, they don't want to fix your systems. They want to buy a business that works. And the value of your business, how much you will get out of that from selling, is infinitely higher if it functions as it should and if it generates revenue and positive cash flow, right? And so you want to look at your marketing as um, strategic, not just post and pray. And we have a system, right? So all the way from we do our social posts and our paid ads down to when they get to the website, they can clearly book or purchase something, or there's some sort of request for information, things like that. So you're creating a clear process on how people get all the way through to the end to buy something.
We were just talking to founders and doing more founder led sort of startup, to get going, you just got to start posting on LinkedIn, and that falls on the founder, and that's very founder led. How do you transition from that founder led motion into more of that growth engine?
So I talked about having, like, on the founder side, pick one place to be and just like maximize that place, like LinkedIn or whatever that might be. When you jump into growth marketing, growth engine marketing, like creating this system, you have to expand where you're going, but you have to do it in a smart way. So again, not every platform all the time, every day, but to really think, okay, well, so I always tell people that even if you are a B2B business, the B at the end of that is a person, right? And so ultimately, something like if you're targeting me, right? My business isn't on social media looking at things. I am on social media or the internet or whatever looking at things. And some of the best campaigns I've seen is people call it retargeting. A lot of business owners maybe have heard that word, but they don't really know what that means or how to do it
Oh,
because it
it's such a
feels
great bridge. Yeah.
complicated. It can be if you make it complicated. But basically, I need your ads to follow me because it's going to take me a bunch of times, especially in this age, of seeing you to actually make a purchase. One of the best examples I can think, not my client, but one of the best examples that I can think of for like a small business, there's a company called Savoya. They are a booker, like a broker, a transportation broker. And I was on their website doing some competitive research. And then I went on Facebook, not to look for Savoya. Their ad popped up. And then I started seeing their posts. And then I was on YouTube watching some, I don't know, BS with my kid, and the ad that popped up was Savoya, right? So, and I knew the brand because obviously it was on their website, but I indicated to them unintentionally that I might be interested in their services,
Hmm.
and they have followed me ever since because you accept the cookies at the bottom of the page. But it's doing things like that, not in to be creepy, but to just say, be a constant reminder, but it has to show up where I go, right?
Mhm.
So clearly I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I have a client with a podcast, so I'm on there a lot. So like if you're targeting me, it's probably Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, right? And so you need to start thinking about where are your customers spending their time? And then how do you tailor your message to those platforms, right? So what works on LinkedIn isn't going to work on Instagram, because I'm on Instagram to be much more casual, probably, right? Like
Right.
I love the videos of real people talking about products or services or things like that, testimonials, right?
Mhm.
And that could be just because I'm a marketing person. But um, it's things like that where like, do I need a real person? Like, do I need a real face or do I need text? And then it's just planning it out. And you need someone that can, it shouldn't be you. As the business owner, we tend to be very like blinders on narrow focused because this is our baby and we have this perceived idea of this business that probably doesn't match our customers' belief or how they see the business. And so what you need is
Oh,
someone from
such a
the
tough
outside.
lesson.
I know it's really hard. Someone from the outside to come in and say, I get that that's like, that's what you think and that's how you feel about this business, but that's not what Johnny, the other business owner, feels about your business. And so, how do we adjust our messaging so we can get him?
As business owners, we tend to talk about what we know and from our own background. So I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day from a business owner who comes from a strong, super strong sales background. And so all of his posts are about sales. And I said to him, he was like, he said he got on his high horse over the weekend and posted and it didn't go anywhere. And he was surprised. And I said, I think you have the notion that all your audience, your buyer is also in sales. And while that might be accidentally true, because sorry, founders, but you are the first sales and marketing person when you start a business, whether you want to be or
Yep.
not all folks come from that background. So they can't relate. And so yes, I think we have to. I had another prospect who was doing something very similar. He was talking a lot about media and what the media was doing. I was like, but how does that tie to your business and the problem you solve? It's great that you know what's happening in the industry, but why does that matter? Right.
Yep.
And so, yes to having that outside voice. Yes to having somebody look at your ICP and say, I love that you're part of your ICP and that's how you think, but you not everybody in your ICP is the same. And this is how we need to broaden the scope. So, so important. So hard. It's such a hard lesson. I'm learning
I
it
would also
myself.
say, like, your ICP, that customer who is actually like controlling the purse strings of the purchase could not be the person who is doing the research to bring that to that person to make the
So
decision. So
important.
we see this
Yep.
a lot in corporate travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
The executives that are in the planes or in the private jets, in the limos, whatever that is, they didn't make that decision. Their executive assistant or the head of, like, if the business has a travel department, that person made that decision. And so you need to, so yes, the executive in your car is probably driven, salesy, like, I just want to get in the car and get to my meeting or get to the airport and I'm very direct and I don't have time for BS, right? But
Mm-hmm.
your executive assistant is probably, there's a, I don't know if you're familiar with DISC, but they're probably like
Mm-hmm.
what I would call like a sensitive maintainer, right? So they get stuff done, but they're just like, they're there to serve. They speak a different language. They're looking for different things. They're looking for reliability and safety. And like, is my boss going to be on time? Because otherwise he'll get mad, right? They're looking at these things versus the person actually utilizing the service product. And so you need to really think about that because in marketing, you have to unfortunately hit both demographics.
True. True. So, how do you do that? Especially if you're on more of a, this is gonna be our last question, folks. I could keep going with Robyn all day because she just keeps opening up the can of worms. It's great.
Sorry.
No, I love it. I'm here for it. So, last question for you, Robyn, is when you're looking at a smaller budget or even a growth, you're initially getting into that growth stage and you're like, oh no, not only do I have to be on all these channels now, but I also have to talk to two different audiences. How do you do that without muddying the waters? And and do you focus on one? Do you go after both? Tell me more.
You kind of test it. So you go after one or the other. I think you really have to think about who brings the decision to the decision maker. And if it's one person who is the shopper and the decision maker, awesome. But if it is two people or three people or a department, you are probably better off softening your language and targeting the people that are shoppers, the shoppers, um, and then putting some sort of strong call to action at the end. Um, and what I would say is a really good way to figure that out is to talk to your customers because they will tell you. Not all of them, most of them, a lot of them don't want to talk to you, but if you have a relationship with some of them, it's worth having that conversation. Hey, how did you find us? How did you decide that we were the right person to go with, right? Customer feedback is your best bet on how to move forward with your marketing.
Another super hard lesson, but it's why I started a podcast because I get to sit down and hang out with my audience and understand
Mhm.
what their pain is every day. There's creative ways to do it. You don't necessarily just have to like pick up the phone. But yeah, I mean, if you and having a relationship, I'm sure you have relationship with some of your early buyers. It's so critical. It's so hard. These lessons are so hard, Robyn. You're dropping truth bombs all over the place. Um, but they're so important, and I'm so grateful. Where people want to learn more, they wanna join your cause. Where do they find you?
Well, you can, I'm sure you'll put my things or I can
We're already
comment on
linked.
the thing. Yeah. LinkedIn, if you send me a DM, I will answer it, I promise. Email Robyn, ROBYN at strategyleaders.com. I love speaking to business owners, even if you don't work with me. I just like hearing your stories. Also, it's really like selfishly good research for me. Um, and I like to be helpful. Otherwise, you can head to my website, strategyleaders.com, and I'd love to chat.
Amazing. Amazing, Robyn. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. A huge thanks to our producer, Design Guru. And this episode was brought to you by MKG Marketing because a great product is worthless if no one knows it exists. We drive revenue momentum through SEO and digital ads and put you in front of the right people every time. Visit mkgmarketing.com to get your engine started. Thank you again, Robyn. And to our
Thank
listeners,
you.
Ala Prashoin.